Yeah.
So, okay, cool. So I could have gone into this negative spiral, but I had this event already planned and everything. So I decided I was just going to go ahead and go forward with the event and kind of just be in a state of, happiness and joy instead. And it was like,
For you.
I choose to be in a state of joy. So
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of how that went. And I see that my camera is not working now. So, interesting.
I've got a bit of a win as well, if you want to hear it.
What do you got,
Absolutely.
Paul?
I think over the last 2 weeks or so, I've been posting a lot of content, a lot of video content, a lot of AI content. And it just resonated with a business owner who has like probably a $30-35 million a year company producing a specific type of outerwear that reached out to me. I just got off the Zoom with her 5 minutes ago that wants to work with us. And she was at the table probably 2.5 years ago, but fell off, but said to me, reached out via Facebook Messenger, said, I love your videos. I love what you're doing. Can we hook back up again? So just to say, I think it's important what you're doing, what you're putting out in the marketplace. You might not think today's the day where it resonates with someone, but you don't know. So you don't know until you put it out there. So yeah, don't know what that's going to look like just yet, but I think it's pretty promising.
That's awesome. So this is an underwear company, you said?
No, outerwear.
Outerwear. I thought you said underwear.
No. Sorry, outer. I should have been more specific. Outerwear.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I have a friend who he and his brother have an underwear company, and they do pretty well. They do, around 8 figures a year, I believe, selling underwear. So, yeah.
Well, we all got to have them.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Unless you're going to get one of those guys.
Right? They just sponsored the UFC, so now their logo's getting up at the top banner of the UFC fights and all of that.
Wow.
So they're going to be poised for growth, I suppose.
Nice.
Who else? Anybody got some wins? Alec Newmeyer, come on now.
I mean, I had a little operational win.
Okay.
I've just been like, you know how some days you just feel like you're just working as fast as you can and getting nothing done. I I had been having that for the last couple weeks, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I have these great tools and strategies. What is happening? And I diagnosed it as this employee who was just dropping the ball and creating so much work for me. So I've been trying to fix things, but yesterday I just said, hey, it's not working. Like, this is crazy that I'm doing all this work. So I let her go, and I got a new person in, and already there's like peace and tranquility in my space, and I'm able to
Wow.
work on other things. So
Nice.
yeah, you just like
That's a fast one, man. Fast
yeah,
turnaround.
I usually I'm usually quick to let people go because I'm usually quick to identify that toxic person. But this one had really good manners, but everything she produced was super low quality, and I had to redo all of it. And that is just that's merchant of chaos stuff. And when you're in a small business and you only have 6 employees, that's like 15% of all action, taking away 80% of my attention. So get them out of there. So
Yeah, that's great.
that's a
Yeah.
win for me. And I told my wife what was happening, and she's like, "Why does this girl still work for you?"
Right.
And I was like, "Okay, stay-at-home mom, ruthless administrator. Like, I have a relationship."
Yeah, it's tough. We've been in that situation multiple times, and it's kind of like, I mean, I got shouldn't say got rid of, but I let my VA go recently as well. And after maybe a year and a half of working with him, and we did a lot of amazing things together, but then it came to a point where it just wasn't working out anymore. And it's like, hey, I wish you the best, but this situation right here can't continue.
Yeah. I better give color too. Like, because I was feeling stressed out and unproductive, I did this. Usually it's my quarterly review, quarterly planning exercise. And because things weren't going well, I just did it last night. Took like 2.5 hours or so just to get things on the page. And so that's helping things feel a lot better too. So that's a win.
Nice. Yeah, clarity is key. If you keep coming back to what's the real mission, what's the real goal, and am I working towards that, or am I off track and chasing shiny objects or whatever, that kind of clarity always brings a lot more ability to take action in the moment, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, well, good on you, man. Anybody else got a final win here before we get started? Boom. All right. Well, welcome to the new faces on the call. We do this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and we always want to go over valuable topics, and they kind of change depending on what's going on in the SEO world, lead generation world, and with the LeadSnap software, sometimes we'll put things out there to demonstrate the new features and functionality and all of that. Today, we have Joran McEnroth joining us on the call. Joran has been working with Patrick Shannon, the founder of LeadSnap, since he was, what, 17 years old or something, Joran?
Yeah, that was it, 17.
He's 17 years old. So it's been a few years. He's still not that old, but you know,
7
he's been
years
there
old.
since the legend has it that he helped work on the first website that Patrick ever built. I'm not sure if that's true.
That's true.
That's true.
true.
The first
First
website
one.
still ranking, still one in leads, and that's what started the whole empire that Patrick has created. And so Joran knows probably more than any of us about, you know, how the operations of an agency work, how to scale an agency, all of the issues that come up along the way, all the challenges, clients and everything. Like, he's been there riding shotgun since jump. So he knows probably more about the software than anyone else besides Patrick, and how to use it, how to keep it to be valuable for you, how to, you know, utilize it to keep your business running smoothly. So he's going to take over the call today and tell us some things about LeadSnap that probably we don't know. Some of them we might, but you know, Joran is got a bag of tricks here he's going to pull out. So welcome to the call, Joran McEnroth.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for that very warm introduction. Appreciate that. Cool. So yeah, we're gonna get started today. We're gonna be going over LeadSnap and the system. Today's call is going to be a little bit geared towards any new users. However, any existing users, you know, you guys may be able to pick up a thing here or two, here or there, that maybe you guys aren't taking advantage of. Also, we're going to be doing Q&A. We will have a Q&A section at the end. However, if I'm going through a certain module that you do have a question about, feel free to raise your hand and I will see it, and we can discuss that right then and there about that particular module. So today's topic is going to be kind of going over the GMB management and the heat maps specifically. And it's going to be everything that you would need to do from when you're first getting started and you've created a new account. Where do you need to start and what do you need to do, as well as what features do you have at your disposal that you can take advantage of. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared. Second. All right, please let me know if you guys can see my screen. Perfect.
Can see it.
Cool. All right, so the first thing that we're going to be going over, like I said, you got a new account and you've logged in. This is where you're going to be at. You're going to be in the dashboard, and we're going to be talking about the GMB management and the rank tracking. So for the GMB management, the first thing that's going to be apparent and is going to be important is going to be the API. I get a lot of questions about the API. Where to start? What do you guys need to do for that? And so I wanted to make sure we start with this. There are two options. One is you can set up your own API, and actually up here at the top, if you click on the apply for a GMB API, there will be a form that you can fill out, and our team will actually go and get that API live for you. So you just need to fill out this information. And once it's submitted, like I mentioned, our team is going to go out and get that API live for you with Google. Now, that option does take a while. It can take several weeks actually to get that API live. It's kind of similar to like getting a GMB live right now, right? It's tricky. You got to go back and forth with Google, but we have, I would say, pretty much 100% success rate. It just takes a little bit of time. The advantage to that is you get your own dedicated API that you'll be able to use for anything. The other option is we do also have internal APIs that we have gone ahead and set up so that you guys will be able to take advantage and use them instantly. So if you come into this area and you don't have an API, then you can either message us on the live chat, let us know, hey, can you please hook us up with one of your internal APIs? And we'll do so. It only takes like 30 seconds. You'll have full access to everything. or you can fill out that form. Once you have the API approved is when you'll be able to take advantage of the GMB management portion of the software. Using it is very easy. Where you're going to start is on the GMB locations page and coming up to this add GMB button right here. And this is going to ask you to sign into a Gmail account that is associated with your GMBs. It can be one or it can be many. It is going to pull in all of the GMBs that you have in your account. One thing to note about this area is if you don't have access to your client's GMB directly, you can have them add you as a manager, and you can add that manager account in here as well, and it will pull in those GMBs. So now that they're added, basically what you'll need to do is activate them. Activating them is what consumes a credit, but then gives you the ability to access those GMBs. And then this button here will show view. And if you click on view, it's going to take you inside of the GMB dashboard. And from in here, this is where you have the ability to edit all of your information. Everything done within here is going to directly reflect live on your GMB. So if we change the hours, it's going to change that on the live GMB. Another thing is down at the very bottom, I'm not sure if many people are aware of this, but this is where you can get a review link to your GMB. So if we go ahead and open this up, it's going to give you the link that you need. You could just copy it. And then when you send this to somebody, instead of it just sending them to your GMB, it'll actually open up the screen where they can input the stars and leave the review right away. So that's very helpful if you're going to pair this up with our reputation management for sending out these links. It just, removes another step in the process so people can leave the reviews very quickly. You'll see up at the top, there are several different tabs. Each of them has a different purpose, and we're going to be diving into these. We have the media tab. This is going to be the one where you can add all of your images. You can also schedule these images out for a future date. And then you'll also be able to input your geo coordinates in there if you want to geotag your images and stuff like that. Then we have the services. The services is pretty straightforward. Here is where you can just add or edit any of the services on your GMB. And then we have the Google location reviews. So this is going to be an important one, especially if you're pairing this up with the reputation management that we do. Let me check out this question real quick from Alec. So what is the ideal timeline that people are posting on a GMB? I have a girl doing it on my clients once 3 times a week, and I think it's too much. So Alec, are you adding 3 images a week? That's what you're saying? No, that's all right. That's all right. Like I said, I want to answer them as we're still on there. Oh, GMB posts. Okay. Okay. Posting. Got it. Yeah. Then in that case, I'm going to answer this question when we get to the posting area. So we'll continue on the reviews right now. So like I said, if you are pairing this up with the reputation management, you're going to have a lot of reviews coming in, and then you can set up alerts for these. So anytime a new review comes in, just like this one, you'll be able to click on it. It'll take you to where you can reply to this review. Super simple and easy to do. And also, depending on how much you can fit into your reply, if you're able to fit in some keywords in there, it's definitely going to help with your ranking factor. The same thing is said for questions and answers, and questions and answers are awesome. If people are leaving questions on your GMB, then you can reply to them. Definitely a very easy way to get some keywords on your GMB. And depending on how creative you can get with this, you can see a lot of benefit from this area. All right, now we're going to go over the posting. So yes, you can schedule out posts, and then we'll talk about recurring posts as well. So if you click on create a new post up here, you can choose which type you want. We have all of the 4 categories that you would normally have on Google, which are the standard, event, offer, and alert. So you just pick which type you want here, and then go ahead and fill out your post. And you can upload an image, and then here's where you're going to do the scheduling, or you can set it to reoccurring. So the reoccurring is really cool because if you set it to reoccur, and in this case, let's say we set it for a week. I think there is a new update on Google where posts only last for 7 days, and they're getting removed. And so if we set it to a week and we have it occur forever, then after the 7 days, even if whether Google deletes it or whether our system deletes it, because if you set it to reoccur for a week, then after those 7 days, our system would delete it. But then it's going to repost it again. So it's basically refreshing it over and over. So if you have like a specific offer that is like a long-term offer, then you can go ahead and just have it reoccurring forever. So you don't have to continue to schedule it or continue to repost it. Alec, yeah, I believe so. I think that they're deleting after 7 days. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of like heard that in passing. So it's not like something that I, have been paying attention to or did some testing. It's just something that I heard. So that may or it may not be true. About your question, yeah, let me know if you find something about that. So for the schedule, there's not like a
Hey,
set.
Joran, there's one more question from Lincoln. How do you deactivate a GBP from the active status on an account?
Yep, I did see that, and I
Okay.
am going to get to that. Yeah, just right after this one. So for the scheduling, I don't think there's like a set schedule. I believe what most people do is probably around once per week, and then maybe twice per week. But I think 3 times a week would be a little bit heavy. It seems like once per week is kind of always been like the sweet spot. One post per week per GMB. How do you deactivate the GMB from the active status on the account? So let me first figure out exactly what you're asking. So if you have a GMB that is integrated into the account, are you asking how to remove it from the account? If that is
If the client cancels service,
Mhm.
how do you remove it from it using your credits on the account?
Oh, okay, yeah. So you could just archive it here, and it is going to remove it from your account. This doesn't affect the GMB at all. It just simply removes it from your account. It would also remove the client access from the account, and you'll get that credit back.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. And then AI post generation from Jason. Yes, that is definitely something that we are looking into implementing. I don't have an ETA on that, but it is definitely on a roadmap, and we are currently researching that and figuring out how we can implement that into the account. The goal from Patrick, we've had several conversations about this, is he wants to implement a way that you can optimize your GMB very quickly by just, clicking a few buttons or flicking some switches. So that would mean implementing a lot of AI for, uploading images or, creating your posts automatically. So that is kind of where we're going with the system. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. I think it'll be really cool. All right, I think I've gotten through all the questions. So we're going to move on to the suggestions area. So this area is actually really cool and very powerful, especially depending on the number of GMBs you have. I've seen some of our users have just like 5 to 10 suggestions coming in per day. And it's just, if you were to go through and try to reject all of these suggestions by hand, it's going to be very painful. So the ability to lock your location, what this does is any suggestion that any user makes, whether it's someone's trying to mark your location as closed or they're trying to change your name or your phone number, sometimes Google implements their own suggestions. It's not even from a user. So, and they'll try to edit your name. If it's got like too many keywords in there, they shorten it. So this will go ahead and auto reject all of those suggestions. And I also wanted to point out, since I don't think that everybody is familiar with this part of it, is that if you go on the left side to Google and down to Google suggestions, this is actually a global suggestions area. So you don't have to do this on a per GMB level. You can click this button and this will lock the locations on for all of the locations that are integrated into your account. And it's also going to block them all, and you'll be able to view all of the ones that were blocked from this area. So just want to make sure that you guys are taking advantage of that, especially, depending on the number of GMBs that you have integrated, it can be not very easy going through and doing that one by one. Alec also got back with an update saying he's still seeing posts from August. So, okay, that's cool. That I guess what I heard was wrong. So it seems like posts are still sticking around for longer than that. So apologies on that, but that is good news for us. All right, the Insights tab, you'll be able to get your insights in here instead of looking at your you can currently get this on the Google dashboard, but it's a lot easier when you can just access it directly from here. And this is going to show you a lot of cool information, like how many people have called from your GMB or requested directions or visited your website. You'll even be able to see the number, like what terms people are using to find your GMB. So that could be really important. And then I'll show you like what you guys are ranking for, what keywords are you getting the most business for, and stuff like that. And then the notifications, this is where you can set up any notifications. Like if you want to set up notifications based on when a review comes in, it can be in the app, or you can also set it to email you. Same thing with a status change. So status change is going to be if a GMB ever goes into pending or suspended status, you can get an email alert on that right away. So it's, that has saved us countless times, because when we lose a GMB, that means our lead flow goes down. And it used to be, before we built out LeadSnap, that we would get a call from our client, a month or two later saying, hey, we're not getting any leads anymore. We don't want to pay you. So now that we get, we can get a notification via email right away, and we know we need to work on this ASAP before the client really has time to notice. Okay, so that's everything on the GMB management area. Do we have any other questions? I see Jonathan. Does that email alert go to all users on the GMB? So this is like an account specific. So if I'm logged in from my account and I set this to email, it is going to go to me. And then if you have people on your team that you also want to get these notifications, they would also have to log in and go to this area and do this, so that they would get the notifications. Is there something I need to do to get the GMB analytics to hit LeadSnap? I'm looking at one. Alec, are you on a shared API or like an internal API, or are you on your own personal API?
I think I'm on a shared one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that they work, unfortunately, on the internal APIs. We are working on getting that to work, but this is one of the parts that works better if you have your own internal API.
Because I was just like, I think we tried to get me in an API, but Google was playing a saucy little game and we couldn't do it after
They were
like a
rejecting
month
it.
of trying or something.
Gotcha. And how long ago was that?
Oh, it was a while ago, probably like February.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want, we could always try again, see what happens if we, see if we can get you on a personal API.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right, Riz was talking about how often you post on your GMB. So we were just talking about that. I mentioned that we do it about once a week is our sweet spot. Alec was doing it currently 3 times a week. I think that's a little much, but yeah, about once a week seems to be the sweet spot.
Let me jump in if you don't mind. I just want to clarify my question. Let's say you have a guy that does roofing, he does siding, and he does, I don't know, let's say pressure washing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you do this map and you're doing it once a week. I mean, I'm guessing you're only focusing on one keyword, right? Because if you're focusing on 3 keywords, then you would probably want to do 3 times a week. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah,
here.
it could be. I mean, I'm not saying that there's like I mentioned earlier, there's not like a set rule. So it's kind of up to you, and like based on the results you see, you don't want to overdo it, obviously. If you have a client that has multiple services, what I would do is create maybe like an offer, or I feel like an offer would be the best. If you can come up with some kind of discount code, and it doesn't have to even be like a real discount. You can inflate the price a little bit, put a discount on there so that the price comes down to what it originally is. And then, put in all your information about that service and make it reoccurring. So if we set this up on today, this Wednesday, we have it reoccur for every week, then maybe a few days later, we want to set up another one that is going to be for the other service, make that one also recurring for every week from that day. Then they'll just always be posting in that order. So you'll have all of your different services hitting. Now, if you have a lot of services and you're doing all of them once per week, then yeah, you're going to have many running per week. But like I said, that is up to you. I guess it's up to the differentiation in the content that you're posting. If they're all about different services, you could probably get away with it. But business owners are not really taking advantage of this very often. So people who are doing like a new post every single day, it's going to look pretty spammy. So you just want to kind of like, you know, ride that line a little bit on what's going to be spammy and what's going to look natural. Does the reoccurring delete the old post or just post again? It deletes the old post and then reposts it. All right. Any other questions before we move on to the heat map area?
Yeah, on your
Yep.
posting, what type of photos are you using? Are you guys using only actual photos, any stock photography, any Canva or graphics on there?
Yeah, we'll use some like Canva graphics, and we will occasionally use some stock photography, but that is not ideal. The best thing, the ideal situation is we reach out to our clients, and a lot of the time they will have an abundance of images for us to use that is of them actually doing the real work. So that is the ideal situation. That's what we're gonna go for first, and if we can't get that, we will explore other options. Let's see, I have a new restaurant client and thought about putting a QR code on their GBP, some cards for the waiter to hand out with the bill. Does this tool have a QR code? Unfortunately not. I think that's a great idea, Paul. I haven't ran that up to Patrick yet to see what he thinks about it, but I do think that would be a really cool idea. We are currently using QR codes. We give to our clients like QR code stamps that they can put on the invoices in order to, I see yeah, let's see, free QR code generators. Yeah, there's definitely free code generators out there that you can use. I don't have the name of any specifically unless, so if you do, Alec, and you want to throw that out there, that would be great. Okay, so we got QR code temporary tattoos. Yeah, that's a good idea. Canva.com. So generic Canva, you can get QR codes within Canva. Is that what you're doing, Samantha? Oh, never
Yeah,
mind.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, you can create QR codes right in Canva. I'm not sure if you have to have the paid one, which I mean the paid one's only $13 a month.
Mm.
But I know I've created QR or review cards, and I just created the QR. Now the only thing is not trackable, and I think what you guys use, you can track it. So that's the downfall of it, but free and easy, you can create it right there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think having the ability to track it would be great. And I think that Samantha uses QR.me. Is that the one that she recommends? Yeah, okay. So that one is a paid one. And then Alec just posted a free one in there, QR code monkey.com. So awesome. Thank you for that. And then Alec, on your other question of like branding every single photo, I don't think that it really is slapping a name, address, photo in each photo. I'm not sure if you'd really see a benefit to that. Like if you're doing images on your website and you want to put the alt tags as keywords, definitely you're going to see you know, a benefit from that. But like, are you talking about putting like a watermark on it? Is that what you're referring to?
No, I just bumped across the idea probably from like a YouTube guru, talking about branding the photo. They like have the photo and then there's like a footer kind of on the photo that has like their logo on it and stuff. And I've seen that sometimes, but you never know these days. It just seemed like a lot of work for probably not much gain, and I wasn't that interested.
Yeah, I wouldn't know enough about that to be able to comment on that. That's not something that we are doing.
Okay.
With Canva, there's a way to do like a mass import. So if you had like that structure set up with the footer, you could just like throw 50 photos in there automatically, and it would just line them all up and do the whole thing automatically.
Well, that sounds much smarter than what I had in mind.
Doing it one by one. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's gonna be like easy and scalable like that, then I always think that there's no downside to doing it, right? So you might as well just do it and take every advantage.
I
you
think it
can
looks
get.
more professional myself. Looks like you're more legit.
Definitely looks more professional than some of the photos I post up there. Definitely.
Cool. All right. I think we've gotten through all the questions here. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna move over to the heat map area now. So there's a lot to talk on the heat map. We're gonna cover how to run one, what are the different options to be able to run one, and then what does it mean to save grids, save configurations, how to schedule them, and then we'll also talk about the rank tracking. So in order to run a heat map, right away you have a few options. If you've already gone through these first parts where you've integrated your GMBs, then you'll be able to use the My GMB tab. So all the GMBs that you integrate will be available here. if you have ran one before from the map URL or the Google, which we'll cover, and saved it as a configuration, then you'll be able to choose it from here. If you are just running one for the first time and you don't have access to it, or if you're doing competitor research, then the map URL is usually going to be the best one. There was an update to the map URL that made it so the share URLs don't really work anymore right now. We do have like a fix for that we're updating. So for now, you'll have to use the long URL that is at the top of the page. Or you can also use the search. The thing to note about this is it is going to work for GMBs that have their address shown. So if you have service area GMBs, they probably won't show up here. And so usually it's best to use the map. The map URL will work on all of the GMBs. Let me go ahead and pull up that one again. Then for the keywords, you can type in one keyword, or if you press comma, you'll be able to enter in multiple keywords. You can also create a keyword list. So the keyword lists are going to save you a lot of time especially if you have multiple GMBs or clients that are within the same niche. Then you can go ahead and create a list name and add multiple keywords in here. Go ahead and save it. And from your heat map screen, if you choose keyword list, you'll be able to choose from that list instead, and it will load in all of those keywords. Yes, Janeri. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is right here where you're gonna pull in the data. Is it still the map URL the way that? Can you take it from the share link that you already got, or you still have to copy into the browser? And
Yeah.
then,
So yeah.
okay.
So for a while, let me just pull up like a test GMB to show this. For a while, we were able to use the share URL, but Google just changed like the structure of that URL. And there's actually like a couple of different versions of it. So sometimes it's this one, and then sometimes there's like a really, really short one. So it kind of messed that up in our system, and we have an update that is actually ready to go live that will fix this. But for as of right now, it is best to copy the share URL, paste it in, and then take the long URL at the top. Or another faster way to do it, so you don't have to use the share URL. Let me just open it. If you go to maps.google.com and then search right in there, like if I were to pull this over. So I'm from maps.com. If we type in something, and if you're able to find like the exact name of a GMB, like this one, and click on it, then it'll pull it up where it's the only one on the left side. That's how you know that you've gotten it correctly, and then you can copy that URL there.
Okay, so you no longer have to take it from this and share it. Okay.
Right.
Next question is, if you go back to LeadSnap, I see obviously Google's connected to it. So how accurate or how many businesses, I'm trying to ask this question correctly. I've gone on the Google, right, where you click on Google and just put the name of the business. How, like sometimes the business doesn't show up. Is that the case still, or is that, do you see what I'm talking about? Where find by, instead of doing the map URL, do it by the Google?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So this, they won't show up if it's a service area business that has the address hidden.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's usually best to just use the URL for all of them, unless you're working with a lot of brick and mortar clients, then they will show up in here. But they do have to have the address shown for them.
Okay, and then the place ID, is it the whole URL with the ID, or is it just the ID number?
That's a good question that I actually don't know. I think it is just the place ID at the end of it. But I'm actually not 100% sure on that. I've actually never used this searching feature. I just usually use the URL.
Got it. Because I have an extension that I use that can get the CID.
Oh, gotcha.
On my map listing, and you can get the URL or just a CID code, but I haven't really played with it or not to see how it works on LeadSnap.
Which extension is that?
I don't know. It's just called CID is what I'm
really?
seeing.
It's called Pepper or something.
No, it's not that one.
Would
It's
be
a different one.
Yeah.
I'll get the more information while we'll continue, and then I'll put it in the chat.
All right, cool. Okay, so yeah, once you determine the way that you do want to run your GMB, then you can go ahead and put it in here. Let's see, we were gonna do one for repair. So you'll just need to keep on putting in the information in here, put in your keyword or use your keyword list that we talked about. And then you can set your points. So I typically start with 1 mile, and I'll always do like a 13 by 13 since currently there's not a cost associated with the different grid sizes. Then if we look at the grid on the right side and you determine if you want it to be bigger or smaller, then you can change the mile size. So if we go to half mile, it's going to be half a mile in between each point. So that's what the miles over here are representing. Or if we want it bigger, we can choose a bigger mileage. Or the other options for when setting up your grid is you can actually draw any grid shape that you want. So if we wanted to cover the entire area of Houston, or if we're on an area that is right next to an ocean and we don't want to have a bunch of empty points in the water, then we can just draw around that. And the other option here is if you just want to do a circle, then you would just start with your mouse where you want the middle to be and just click and drag outwards. This will also show you the radius of that circle that you've drawn up here in miles. Okay, and then we have the zoom level. The zoom level you'll pretty much never change. The zoom level refers to, like, if you've ever been on a map and you're looking at businesses in an area, and as you scroll in or out, more ones appear or don't appear, then it's going to affect how your rankings show up. But when everyone's doing a search for different businesses, we want to rank how it is naturally, the natural zoom level that Google starts on. So that's why it's important to just leave this on auto. And then also you can actually move the map to the address of the GMB. If you ever throw in a URL or something in here and you notice that maybe the center is a little bit off from where the GMB is actually located, then you can put in the address of there and it will center it where that GMB address is. Now at the bottom here, we have several options. So we have the ability to save the grid. The grid is referring to the custom grid that you've drawn or set. So if you want to save a grid that is like a complicated one that you've drawn by hand and you don't want to have to draw it every time that you run a new heat map, then you would just go ahead and save this grid and name it. And the next time we run a heat map up at the top, we can just choose from saved grids and load up that one that we created. Then we have the saved configurations. The saved configurations is important if you're going to be scheduling out your heat maps. The save configuration is going to save all of the settings we've inputted. The GMB, even if it's a URL, we can still schedule the GMB, the heat maps. If it's going to be, your distance and your grid size, all of that is going to be saved into a configuration. When you click start, it's going to ask you to name it. I recommend usually naming it the same name as the GMB name, and then maybe the city after it as well, just so you can understand which one that is when looking at it later in a list. And then make this position default for the GMB. This is referring to if you move the map, then you can save that. So in the future, it will load up to that same address. So we're going to go ahead and save this configuration. This was like an AC repair company in Houston. We'll just go ahead and save it as that. And now our heat map is going to run. So we're going to go over how to set up your GMB schedules. That is going to be found up at the top. Click on schedule and go to new. We're going to create a name for this schedule. Once again, probably want to do it based on the name of the GMB. So if we type in GMB or AC repair Houston, and then some people like to put in the frequency as well. So maybe like once a week or something like that. We can set our frequency to once a week right here. You can also use days or months. So if we were to do if we have the days here and then 2 here, this is going to run every 2 days. And if we have it on weeks, it's going to run every 2 weeks. And if we set it to 1, it's going to run once a week. So now we can choose from the configuration that we created. I've done a whole bunch of these, so we'll just choose this one. You can choose to start this schedule now, but if you've already ran a heat map to save your configuration, you may not want to use another credit right now, so you can schedule this out for a future date. And then here's where we can enter keywords. You can also do the comma separated value keywords from this area or select that list that we created earlier. So, and then once I click save, it is going to now run this once a week from the day that I set. All right. Does configuration save all the keywords? It doesn't have to be saved separately as a list. Yeah, the configuration does not save the keywords. So if you run it here and save your configuration, whatever keywords you had in here, are not going to be saved. So when you go to schedule a heat map, you would have to either re-enter the keywords manually or use the keyword list. Good question, Alec. All right. Now, the other thing that we were going to go over is going to be the competitor analysis. So we have a lot of information, and anytime you run a heat map, there's a ton of information that you can get from here just by having it loaded up like this, then scrolling down and looking at the averages tab. The averages tab, let me see if this one, there we go. The averages tab is going to give you a ton of data on your competitors. This looks like this area, in my opinion, looks very competitive. What I did is I sorted the averages from lowest to highest. So it's going to show whoever is ranking the best in that area down to the worst. And the best ranking person only has a 17.98 average. If I saw this, I would immediately not go into this market because if the number one ranking person is not ranking well, it just indicates to me, it could be two options. One is that there's nobody there doing the service, or one that it's very competitive. And obviously there is a lot of AC repair companies in Houston, so this to me looks very competitive. And the number one person has 683 reviews. So we can also click on the eyeball on the right side to see where they're actually ranking. And this is the only area that this person is ranking. So if we were to put in a GMB and we got 700 reviews, we may only rank about this well. And that's not something that I would personally spend my time doing. So it's very easy to get an idea of how competitive a market's going to be and or how weak it's going to be to determine whether that's something that you want to go into or not. Janeri, what do you mean you looked at the metric the other way around? Are you referring to the average?
Yeah, so when I saw the top person having not really ranking, I thought it was more low-hanging fruit. Now, granted, I don't only look at that. I look at the reviews, I look at everything else, but when I looked at that and the coverage of the whole area, I would think like, okay, the number one person is not really doing a great job, but that makes sense what you're saying. So
yeah, it's just because there's so many people in this area and everyone is fighting for one piece of the puzzle that it's really hard then in a market like that to dominate the whole city. You're only going to be able to take over one little bit because especially when there's so many different people, it starts becoming very proximity based, where Google's showing GMBs depending on who's closest to it and not necessarily who's the best. So that could definitely create an issue. Jason, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I never really thought about using this as a prospecting tool, especially like if we were using with Rootzilla and the blue button to look for businesses that are dominating an area that you could maybe reach out to that might be interested. Because obviously
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. People use this for prospecting all of the time. There's like two different ways that you could use this for prospecting, depending like if you wanted to go into lead generation where you're going to be creating and trying to rank these assets, then you're going to want to use this as a way to like find a market that is going to be soft enough for you to rank very quickly. And then you can also look, depending on how the number one person's doing, if they're already dominating, maybe not reaching out to them, but go a couple down and look at these guys, and you can use this as a way to reach out to them. And you can also do a comparison between, so if we were to like run this person's heat map, we can show them how they stack up and how they compare ranking wise to their number one competitor, and use that to create a Loom video to highlight the difference. And what does that difference mean? Obviously people stay away from technical terms from like Google and stuff like that, but when you make it very visual on the number one person has all green ones and their heat map is all like 10s, it makes sense to them really quickly why they're not getting a lot of business. And then you can very easily explain what it is you're going to be able to do for them to get more business and where that business is going to come from. Janeri, did you have a question or a comment on that?
Yeah, well, I just noticed the market share. Did you guys just add that? And if you went over it, I'm so sorry.
No, I didn't yet.
Okay. If you are going, you can go ahead and then go over that. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Janeri, have you used the heat map for specific prospecting purposes?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yep.
Yeah, and you guys do Loom videos, right?
Oh yeah,
How you
I do
doing?
Loom videos. Yeah, and I well beforehand I will make sure, because at the beginning I would do Loom videos or do videos and it wasn't a targeted person, right? So you don't want to waste your time just doing videos. You want to do a little bit of research on the business and make sure that one, they kind of believe in marketing, and then you're going to convert them into a sale, because you don't want to just do it just because. But yeah, I definitely have used doing a Loom video, cold calling, or email overall by using the heat map.
Awesome. Very cool.
What's your average time on those videos, just for people who are maybe considering?
Yeah, at the beginning I did them too long, but you should do it no more than maybe 5 minutes. That would be the max. I would
Yeah.
make them very short, straight to the point, not technical. Yeah, because if it's too long, you'll lose them, and you want to make them a way that they're going to want more information, to have curiosity, and that have that last call to action at the end, like, hey, if you want to further discuss this, very laid back, not salesy, not pushy, and just make sure you just lead them with value.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And do you usually show them how they compare to their competitors, or do you just do a deep dive on them only? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So when you do it, you run their heat map, and then you can show them all these other businesses that are listed, and then find the top person, and you just mention to them, like, hey, this is the person who's dominating your market, and this is who's really taking all your customers, and there's a way that you can do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn more about how we can do that, that's when you can do a call to action, and just explain the tool really, really quickly so they don't get lost. Like,
Yeah,
in simple
exactly.
English, fifth
Yeah, a
grade.
quick rundown of what the one means. It means that you're showing up right there. In this area of the city, your online presence, people are finding you from there. And out here, people aren't finding you. And just like that, like, they're gonna understand, okay, people aren't finding me here, but they are here. I want to be found across the whole city. So, like, what do we need to do to make that happen?
Exactly.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jason, and thank you, Janeri, for giving us a little insight on how you do it.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Welcome.
Cool. All right. I saw oh yeah, the market share. So this is something brand new that we added. This was a request from a user. So basically what this is, and the best way to take advantage of it is actually by sorting from the top 3% percentage, from the highest to lowest. So the highest in this case is going to be the best, opposite from the average, where lowest is the best. But if the number one competitor is in the top three 5.84% of the time, we're assuming that they're the number one in the area. So we're creating them as like the base point for 100%. And this person has 87% of what this person has, like, in comparison. So if they're in the top three 5.11% of the time, they're like getting 87% visual on the maps as the number one person does in comparison. So I hope that makes sense. Right. Cool. So that's it for like the competitor analysis. I mean, there is more that you could do. It just depends on how much you can get in there, how creative you get with it, and how much you can really deep dive into all the people in the area. Now the last thing I wanted to mention on the heat map part of it is going to be for SEO client retention. I get a lot of people, I have a lot of conversations with people about this who are hesitant to move into the SEO model, as it's like a temporary paycheck, and you're working yourself out of a job. But if you can provide steady results, very clear results for your clients, and have a game plan beforehand on how you're always going to be able to continue to provide results, you can actually keep those people on for longer than you would think. A lot of people are starting with just one group of keywords, ranking for that group of keywords, and when they're done, they can always just move on to a new set of keywords. And the other thing is being able to show your client in real time the results that you're providing for them. A lot of SEO clients, we don't have the privilege of putting a tracking number on their GBP or stuff like that, in fear of getting it suspended. Now, I did have this conversation with Samantha before, and she says, as long as you can put it as a secondary number and wait and then remove it later on, you could potentially pretty easily get away with adding a tracking number. But most of the people that I talk to don't have a tracking number on their SEO clients' assets. So the best way that we can track these results is going to be with the GMB rank tracking. This area here is going to show you, and this is the GMB that we have it selected for. This is going to show you if you are losing or gaining rankings on particular keywords, it is also going to show you a graph over time. So every time you run a heat map, which is why it's important to have them scheduled, it's going to plot a point on this graph. If you're brand new and you've just ran your first heat map, you'll only see one point on the graph, and that data may not be very valuable for you. But over time, it's going to be important. It's going to start exposing the different trends in your ranking. Ideally, we want to see this graph going in a downward trend because this is in terms of the average. So being a 20 average is the worst, and obviously having a 1 is the best. So we want to watch this go down over time. Additionally, if we go to the keyword analysis area, then this is where we can get a timeline of all of the heat maps that we've ran. So if we have it set up to run every week, then we're going to have every single one of those weeks plotted onto this timeline that you can click on and switch to see how the heat map was on that date. You can also select which different keywords you want to see that timeline for. So by selecting a new keyword over here, it's going to reload the timeline for all of the heat maps for that particular keyword. And then we have some competitor analysis information here at the bottom. But the coolest thing about this report is that it is shareable and fully interactive. I encourage everybody, especially for SEO deals, to share this report with your client because this will give them ability. And if this link's never going to change, you don't have to always share them a new report. If they bookmark it and they open up the link every day and you have heat maps scheduled to run every day, I think that would be a bit much, but every week would be ideal. And if they open it up, they'll see the newest heat maps that are ran and they'll be able to see the progress that you're making on their assets. So this gives them that peace of mind, that security, that they can actually visualize what they're paying for. And without that, I've seen a lot of SEO deals go south because the clients just don't understand what we're doing for them. And this helps a lot with that. So I think it's personally very cool. And most of the users who have gotten to use it have seen a lot of really cool results from it. So I just encourage everyone to take full advantage of this area. Let me scroll back down to the bottom. Do we have any questions about anything heat map related? Or actually, let's go ahead and we'll just open it up. Anything about the GMBs or the heat maps. If anyone has any questions left, we'll kind of just move into a Q&A session now. Unless
So
I've answered
how do
them.
we share this with them, with the client?
So up here at the very top on this blue button, you can click on share report. This
Okay.
URL right here is going to be what's shareable. And they don't need to be logged into account. So I'll just open this up in an incognito window and paste this in here. This is what they're going to see from their end. They'll see the information if keywords are decreased or increasing. And they'll also see the graph. They will also be able to come to the keyword analysis area that has that timeline mentioned, and they can click around, they can change the keyword. So everything that I'm doing right now is what the client would have the ability to do. And you can also set this to give them only access to the timeline area or access to the first area. So these two different pages you can include or have one or the other or both.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, I would say on that, probably the keyword analysis part, letting them see the heat map, especially if they're unsophisticated, would probably be the best move because that's what they want to see. And the summary might confuse them, especially because it comes up first, right, Jordan?
Right.
I would think it'd be better to show them the heat map first, but maybe ease them in
I
a little
agree.
bit. When you share it the first couple times, just give them the heat map and maybe walk them through it so that they can, if they become a client or they're a good prospect and they keep following up, then you can kind of tune them into the more in-depth data.
Yep. And also on that note, a lot of people, what they like to do is just create a little bit, a short SEO or not SEO, SOP video on how to use this and like what this data means. And you can make it general. You can use like a test GMB to just make it general. So you can send it to all of your clients or you can make it personalized. That's up to you. But yeah, you can just give them a little guide on what this data means and how they can utilize it best.
How does the customer switch between keyword to keyword?
Right here, up here in select keyword. So it's the same thing on, I don't know if I still have that open. I think I do. They have this select keyword. So each of these keywords.
So this is the shareable URL right here that we're looking at?
This is the
And then
report.
they hit keyword and then it goes to this. Okay.
Yes. And then if I click on account near me, it's going to switch and all of these are now going to be for the I think it was
Yeah,
accountant
keyword.
near me. Yeah. So that's how they switch it right there.
And how do you associate past keyword searches with a company or client profile?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Yeah, how do you associate past keyword searches to a profile?
They're automatically associated. So everything within the select keyword area, this is going to show all of the keywords that you have ran for that GMB. There is one more thing to note on this. The rank tracking works only for GMBs that are integrated. It's not going to show up for ones that you've only ran like on a URL. They do have to be integrated into the API. And then thereafter, all heat maps
Yes.
that you've ran will show up in here. And then we are actually going to come up with an update that will give you the ability to remove or only be able to show certain keywords. But right now it is all of the keywords that you've ran.
Could you go over white labeling a little bit? Janeri has her hand up, but she answered somebody in the chat, so I don't know if she's going to mention that. But
Yeah, I will. Let's go over the white labeling first, and then Janeri, we will answer your question.
No, actually, that's what I was going to talk about. So
okay.
you can go over that. And then you just answer my question about removing the keywords. That was my question. So,
Okay, awesome. Yes, so white labeling, if you want everything to be branded towards your company, down here in the settings, then go to white label. You'll be able to input your agency GMB in here, and then you can come up with your own subdomain that you want it to be. So if it was like CRM, or you can do app, or whatever you want it to be, you just input that in there and then go ahead and turn this on. But you will also need, if you just do this part only, you're going to get a message up here saying your DNS is not configured yet. So then you'll need to open up these instructions, and here we have the record that you need to add. So within your host, you'll have to create a CNAME record, and it is going to be for cname.leadsnap.com. And then in the host name, you'll have to input what you wanted the subdomain to be, like CRM dot and then your agency domain. If you need any help with that, there is that documentation you can go through step by step. It'll probably be a little more clear. Or if you want, you can reach out to me on the live chat, and we can get on a call and I can help you get it set up. But it is fairly easy to get set up. And then once you do, you can fully customize everything with these two areas here. So you can upload your own agency's logo, change all of the colors. Same thing. So that's the login page specifically. And then after they log in, you can change all of the information here as well. So yeah, it'll be completely branded to your agency.
got it. I question on the reports that you mentioned. I haven't paid attention or not because I do have mine already white label. Paul was asking about sharing the reports and making sure it doesn't show LeadSnap and we can white label it. So that domain will show obviously the domain from the white label that you set up.
Yes, any any share link is going to have your agency domain instead of the LeadSnap domain.
Gotcha. Now, I do know that when you send out review requests, if you would do it through the system and you did white label, it shows your domain. Is that still the case, the white label domain?
Yeah, it is still the case. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. That is still currently the case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Will that be changed in the future or?
Yes, we have to figure out how still
Okay.
we're going to implement that change, but yeah, I think it's either two ways right now as you use the domain that has your agency domain or input it directly in there, which then you would lose the ability to use the end if review submitted, but you could do a shorter type of sequence so that maybe would alleviate that part of the issue.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I know I think you guys talked about doing like trackable URLs or maybe shorter URLs. Maybe that will solve that or.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be part of that solution.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then Jeff, I see you posted a question in here. If I leave that search and go back in, how do I bring up that specific heat map search that you did previously? Okay, so if we go back to the rank tracking and then the heat map area, all of your heat maps are going to be available in the bottom area underneath where you would create a new heat map. My computer seems to be running a little slow. Okay, so down here is going in the details tab is going to be your complete history that you've ever ran. I see this happen all the time in the live chat where people do not see their history, and it's because they have some sort of filter in here that is causing them not to show up. So If you don't have any companies assigned to your GMBs and you group them by company, then those ones aren't going to show up. If you have like, also same thing, if you group them by GMB and you just ran one, they're not going to be in perfect time, like chronological order. So just make sure that you don't have any filters on, and then also these dates are correct. Another thing to note is if you don't have your profile time zone set correctly, so if we go to your name and then go to profile settings and click set your time zone right here. So this one is actually not set to my time zone, but this could affect the way your GMBs show. If you have a time zone in here that's like technically in the future from where you are right now, then if you go to look at from these dates, it's not going to show up. But in that case, you can click all time and come here, and it'll look like that heat map was ran in the future. So that does cause an issue. So make sure that your time zone is set properly, and you'll be able to see all of them. Okay. Alec Newmeyer, need to get your white label set up. So yes, reach out to me, Alec, if you want some help, and we can go over getting your white label set up, and that will be no problem. Cool. Any other questions? All right. Cool. I think we're good unless anyone has anything else. Jeff, seems like we are good to go.
Yeah, I don't see any more questions. Anyone? Last call. How was this for you? Did anybody learn anything?
Oh, one last question. All of the plans, Paul, do include white label. All the CRM plans include white label.
Right.
Can you go to that shareable URL? Because on mine, it shows it a little bit differently.
In the GBP summary? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the one that you did in incognito mode.
Yeah, that was this one. So let me pull it up. I have it. Which one was it? It'd be this one. Oh, I moved it over here. Yep, it's right here.
See, the URL still says LeadSnap though.
Yeah, I don't have this.
White label.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think it is, but in this test account, it's a bit different. So it on an actual production account, it should show up as yours. And if it doesn't, then that is something that we can definitely get fixed. So let me know.
And just to answer Jeff's question, how was today's session? I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for joining us, Riz. I haven't
Thank you,
seen
Riz.
you in a while, man. Missed you.
Yeah, I am trying to make that money like everybody, right?
Yeah, right. Hear
Janae,
that.
I know you have the white labeling set up. So if you could check out that GBP analysis area and let me know, shoot me a message if that is white labeled or not. And obviously if it's not, we'll get that fixed ASAP.
Yeah, it should be. Anyone else have any feedback about today's session? Did you learn anything? Was it valuable to you? We have Jordan coming on here like, roughly every 4 to 6 weeks to give us a rundown of LeadSnap. And again, it's like there's so many features, there's so much functionality. It's hard to even digest everything or to understand exactly what's available. And every single piece of the software was built specifically to get data or solve a specific issue that we had in our agency. So, for all of you, even if you're using the software, you've been using it for a year or two or more, you'll still have things that you're like not aware of, and we keep adding things. So I think it's super valuable, but I want to make sure it's valuable to all of you so that we can, kind of generate these calls and deliver the level of content that you guys want.
Yeah, as a request, I would like to see maybe if Joran or Samantha comes on next time as to how they're using the software to maybe build a ranking strategy off of that. Just a request maybe for next call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's so, the data, the more that you get into ranking and SEO and all of that, like every piece of data, that was a little bit of my point, is that every one of these pieces of data, every bit of the functionality is meant for like, how do we rank better and how do we implement the strategy and how do we use the tools to make that as efficient as possible, I mean, that's what this thing was built for. So
And it's
yeah,
all come
those
from our
nuances
pain
help.
points as well.
Yeah.
Like every time we ran into an issue, how do we solve that issue? And that's what LeadSnap is
Yep.
us solving those
Right.
issues, and from your guys' feedback as well. Every time you guys see something that you guys would want to have implemented that is going to help in this business model, we do our best to get all of those features implemented. Cool. Well, I think we're good to go. Any other closing comments, Jeff?
Not really. We'll see you guys on the next one. Go get some wins. You got 7 days. Come back and tell us what you've done. If you have any issues with the software or anything like that, you can contact us. The lower right chat bubble of the website is a pretty good way to get a hold of Joran, right, Joran? And then he can kind of diagnose and answer your questions right there. So thank you guys very much, and we will see you on the next one.
All right.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.